Perfect. Oh, goodness gracious. All right, getting the camera set up. Shifts just a little bit. There we are. Yay.
Hey,
Hello.
Nikki. Sorry, we were just like 1 minute late, I think.
I was running around. I wanted to get my book that has an example of it so that you can see a picture of what a year ahead spread looks like. And I didn't have it down in my recording studio.
Hi,
except for my
Natasha.
stuff.
Sorry, I didn't mean
That's
to.
okay.
I didn't mean to talk over you.
You cut me off all the time.
Hello, Denise.
Especially saying hi to everybody. Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Hey,
Hi, Tracy. Good to see you guys back again. Carla,
Yes.
hello. Billy, hello. Good evening. Is everybody warm enough? I don't know where. Hello, JM, Cindy, Joanne. So nice to have all of you with us tonight.
Yes.
Good to see you. Thank you for being here for our YouTube live tonight. We're going to talk about year ahead spread, year ahead tarot spread.
The tarot spreads.
Yeah, if you've ever done that before, put that in the comments and let us know. You know,
and if you liked it or followed it, or if it was
like
kind of like,
did you find it helpful?
Well, yeah. Sometimes it's like English is going to happen now. New Year's resolution where you do it and then you forget about it. So we have some to-dos for you guys to write down if you're going to do your year ahead spread that will just be very helpful. But it is a practice. So that means you have to keep doing it. We're always depending on ourselves on what our practice looks like, right? Like nobody's coming in and reminding you of your spiritual chores that you have or things that you want to get done.
I personally find like I really try to get a good start on journaling every day. I'm doing really, really good right now. And
did you mean to say every day or every year?
No, every day.
You've been building this practice.
Well, I try to, and then I get busy, and then the next thing you know, it's been like a month since I've journaled. I'm like, oh my gosh, now I'm trying to recap everything that's happened and like forget it. I just went through really quickly, like and did all of December because December got crazy and I was traveling and stuff. So Korea, I'm not sure.
Carla.
Oh, Carla. I'm sorry. I thought that was an I. Sorry, Carla. It looks like an I. I'm just going to. So this is your first one. Okay.
Hey.
All right. Well, good. So.
Never too late to start them.
Yeah.
I think that they can be really fun. And especially if you check in on yourself like once a month and look at the card or, I guess I don't really have a structure to this, but one of the to-dos, you guys, that I find very helpful. And I've just proved this point to my sister, which you guys know, Jolene. We were discussing our tarot spread, which we only did like 2 weeks ago. And the three of us are sitting there going, oh, what was our January cards? 2 weeks later, it's not even into the year very much yet. And we're already questioning it. And I said, well, did you take a picture? No, I wrote it down. And I'm like, oh yeah, but if you are able to take a picture, that's probably one of the biggest to-dos because everybody usually writes it down. Because when you're doing your year ahead spread, the writing the card down and then, sort of getting a gist of what that energy or pattern is going to be, you write it down. Perfect. But when you're really going through something and you just need that quick reference and you don't have your book of shadows or your grimoire or your journal with you, it's so much better to have a picture on your phone to reference.
I didn't take a picture of mine. I wrote all mine down. But last year I took a picture. Take a picture and then make it one of your favorites, mark it as a favorite so that it stays in that folder. And then you can go back. And especially when I think it's really helpful when a lot of times we go along day to day and nothing really stands out of something that's going on in our lives. It's just a regular ho-hum kind of stuff. We're taking care of life. We're working.
Ho-hum.
It's just like
a long time. Ho-hum. It's just
but then we have something happen. We have some big event happen, right? Like, oh my gosh, there's a blow up in the family. There's an illness in the family. There's something that happens at work. You have some kind of anything with relationships. You have something. So I think that's a really good time to go like, okay, everything was going along kind of normal for me. Like nothing was happening. Then all of a sudden, bam, something happens. Like, what is this about? And you might be able to get some insight from whatever your card was for that month. And so we should probably go ahead.
No, well, that's a key thing because she's, we try to have structure and yet we just talk and it all starts coming out.
I know we should probably back up and it's like start with
jumped right into
for everybody that's new. Like let's let's maybe start it. We get so excited to have you guys here, and then we just start talking. All starts
coming out.
And and then we're just like, oh my gosh. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, you want to back up and start with what is a year ahead spread and show picture?
What is a year ahead spread? Yes.
Yeah. For those who don't know, I think a lot of people on here know. Maybe. But I see a couple who've like never done tarot. This is my first. Yeah. So we're gonna introduce a little bit more. We're gonna introduce a little bit more. Okay. Yeah.
So the deck that I'm using right now, that I've been using for probably like 4 years now, maybe longer, maybe 5. Which you can do this with the Rider-Waite as well, the Rider-Waite Smith. It's whatever deck you want to use. But and you could even do this with Oracle cards if you wanted to, as long as you can make it make sense for you. That's totally fine, whatever card deck you want to use. But I'm using Kim Cran's The Wild Unknown. I just love her imagery and her explanations. Love, love, love. So she has a picture in here for the year ahead spread, and that's basically what the cards look like. You've got them going in a circle, and it's 1 through 12, representing the 12 months. And then the one in the center is a 13 card, and we call that the card that's like the theme of the year. So it's something that might come up more often during the year. It's something that might be kind of looming over all of the things that end up happening during the year. It might be something that you're feeling or going through that needs an entire year to be worked out. But you can find the pictures online, and you don't have to make it in the circle. You could lay them out however you like, but that's what a year ahead spread looks like.
Well, and I want to say also that what we do when we sit down to do it is, first of all, this takes time, you guys, because this is long. This is a long. You should allow about an hour if you're reading yourself, because you really want to get in the right frame of mind to receive messages from your team of light, your spirit guides, universe, angels, whoever is on the other side that you connect with, whoever that might be. If I didn't mention them, you know who they are. So give yourself an hour. You need that much time because this is long. And so I think, Jamie, you can see that you start up at the top, and that's number 1 is January, and then you go in a circle. And what we do when we lay them down is we display January through December cards, so they're face up. Yeah. And then the card in the middle, we leave that one turned over until the very end. For surprise. Yeah. Because you want some intrigue, right?
You don't want to see the final card and be like, oh, okay, no.
Yeah, I know what the year is going to be about. Yeah. So
it's exciting to flip over that last card. Yeah. After going through all the cards, because I think in the years that I've done it, we're ever in flow. So just remind yourself that there's no like bad card, bad month. There's just change, transition, transformation, and reworking things. So yes, you may have relationship issues that you've already dealt with that come up again, but that's just making you stronger. It's not that it's a bad thing. It's just giving you an opportunity to relearn it, re-exercise it, and reaffirm how you want to be in those situations, not falling back into old patterns or bad behaviors. It's really just helping you grow yourself and stick to what you really want to do. So with the no bad thing, when you have a card that can represent, like say you get the death card, which is really just the card about change and new beginnings, something ending and something beginning. If that is your overall card for the year, or even the Tower, which I think is a little bit harsher than the death card, because Tower is like everything has to be burned to the ground so that it can be built back up. If that's a card for your year, just remember that all the systems, relationships, jobs, whatever you're working through, that bringing it all the way down to the base to understand how you even started the journey and then building it up slowly, that could be the representation of a card like the Tower, where it is about really big change that happens overnight where everything burns to the ground. It doesn't mean that things won't regrow from it. It just means that expect change, expect transformation. Mm-hmm. So
something that you might see when you lay down your 13 cards or your 12 cards, because you're not going to see the 13th until the end, is you might see patterns in terms of suits, or maybe you get a lot of major arcana. So there could be some big themes for you for the year, or there could be some smaller ones. And for those of you who are new to tarot, remember that each card is, all the cards, they're a journey. So starting from the one, or the ace rather, the ace, through, what is it? The king?
Well,
No, it's
yeah.
not a king.
I know we've not been using
We haven't been using Rider-Waite for a long time. Yeah.
In our book, it's a king and queen at the back, at the end of this suit. But each one is a journey, and it starts out to see every time you bump that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're shaking.
Sorry about that. Sorry.
Okay. So every time you get a card that is at the beginning where it is the ace or the 2 or 3, that's a beginning of a journey. And if it's in the minor arcana, which are the 4 suits, then you're looking at something that's sort of less dramatic. When you get the higher cards, the cards from the major arcana, so that's the 1 through 22, well, not 1, but 0, the Fool, through 22, you're really looking at overarching themes that have probably lasted, a lifetime possibly, or years. It's something that you're repeating. It's like a bigger scope. It's not one incident. It's something that keeps coming up for you, which we always talk about with patterns. So that was one way Kat was saying about patterns and seeing what plays out for you. The other way that I always see these patterns play out for me in my decks is that different months of the year always bring big changes or big emotional turmoil or turbulence within my family or my relationship, even within myself. There'll be seasons for that stuff. And you can sort of see it in the months if you know. And this takes reflection. A lot of this takes reflection, which means that if you look over your life, write down the big months that you've had where big relationship changes, moves, jobs, changing, whatever your big transformation months have been. And then you can watch as the years go by. Does that energy always present itself, say, in August? August is a big one for me. There's always some kind of big thing happening in August.
Mine's always my birthday month. So November, some stuff always goes down in November. I'm like,
goes down.
Why? Yeah. And I mean, when I say goes down, it's not like happy news in November. It's got to be some crazy stuff, that happens.
You are a Scorpio.
I always get like a big fat bill, unexpected bill in November. It's super annoying. I'm like, that's my birthday. And then it's right before Christmas. But that's a pattern. That's a pattern that I noticed before I was ever reading tarot. I saw that. I was like, oh my God, what's it going to be this November? And you may already, if you just thinking back on how your life usually goes, you may already see those kind of patterns. Like, gosh, like Jamie said, every August something big happens.
Yeah.
For you, it may be another month. It may be around.
It could be a birthday month. It could be
an anniversary of something.
Anniversaries, yeah.
Yeah, like death anniversaries.
Death anniversaries can be big.
Can be really big things. So.
And the reason, so I have my own theory on that. I haven't read it anywhere, but for myself and my own reflections, the way that I think about that is for me, it's always like an emotional thing that ends up happening that I have to prepare for and then I have to work through. And it usually like tears me down to my core. I end up really hating the world and not wanting to be in it and just being like, everything here is screwed up. Like people are terrible, blah, whatever. I go in this downward spiral because I get really sad about all the tragedies of the world. And then I have to remind myself that life is beautiful and I don't have to sit and accept everybody's terribleness. I just exclude myself from it. And then I restart my journey of like healthy emotions and learning to be happy and grateful for what I have and not looking elsewhere and watching all the bullshit happen, like more concentrating over here where I can grow my own garden. And like, we have a saying, not my circus, not my monkeys. I have to remind myself of that sometimes because I'll get emotionally wrapped up in other people's situations or things that don't have anything to do with me, but I feel strongly about. I'm like, that's not my circus, not my monkeys. I don't have to keep track of that. I don't have to feel that if I don't want to. It's a choice. So that's what happens for me. August transitioning into September. I have that every year. It's something that goes on. So, and I kind of expected it. I'm like, oh, I'm going to need time during this period. I don't schedule things. So now that we find our patterns, you have the cards that are kind of suggesting things that might come up. Now you give yourself the leeway to not do too much, to expect it, to watch it, to kind of maybe stand out from it a bit and like watch the thing happen and then go in and start trying to react to it or solve something because you can't really predict it. Like tarot cards are not necessarily psychic predictors. That's not their job, but they are for reflection and intuitive work that you can see things that might come up. It's not going to say specifically you lose your job in August. It just means you're going to have emotional turmoil in August. So that could come in many forms. And then just knowing that you're getting ready for that it's like, make sure you have all your self-care stuff in place. Like, you know who you're going to turn to. You decide what your relaxed day is always going to be so that you know that you're not staying in the emotional state. I mean, and if you need to veg out for an entire day, that's what I do. I call it my cave. I just like go in my little cave. I'm like, I'm not being bothered today. I might sit on the couch all day and do nothing. And this is my emotional reprieve. So my husband knows it too. He hates it. He tries to change it and make me happy. I'm like, you need to let me be sad for a bit and I'll be happy later. Just give me this time, because you need to work through the stuff. So
yeah.
I
think we all need those times where we can just
downtime,
be in our feelings, you know, whatever those might be. If we're feeling a little bit sorry for ourselves, or we're just like, you know, nostalgic about stuff, things that we've missed out on, whatever it is, I feel like we need to allow ourselves to just go through that. Yeah. To feel it, because otherwise you're drinking vodka straight and trying to get through it.
How'd you know? No, this is not straight vodka in my cup. No.
Or something like that. Or maybe something not healthy, you know, maybe overeating, or, you know, or something, you know, just some
not taking care of your normal responsibilities. That's
or yourself, you know, or not taking care of.
That's a responsibility, you know.
Yeah.
Make sure you shower and brush your teeth and feed yourself and, you know, feed your pets and whatever. But so the cards can give you a prelude to that. So they can kind of tell you, hey, there might be turbulence here and to look out for it. And then all you have is that kind of foresight. I want to say that word. Is that right? Foresight.
Yeah.
You have the foresight to see it coming, but not totally like, don't be in it like, oh, August is going to be a terrible month. Something bad is going to happen, because we don't want to bring the expectation. Remember, what you think about, you bring about. So just knowing that, yeah, okay, there's going to be turmoil. All right, I'll deal with it when it gets here. That's okay. I'm fine. You can do the pre-work that like helps you, like I said, set up the systems to take care of yourself. You know, that's all I can suggest for that, because you can't stop the things from happening. We are not meant to live perfect, happy lives here. If we wanted that, we would have just stayed in spirit, where everything is, you know, golden and beautiful, or whatever your idea of is the afterlife. Yeah. To come here is to work through the hard stuff, to grow ourselves and to help others, and have this experience where we are spreading more joy than, I was going to say evil, but that's not the word I'm looking for. Spread more joy than trouble. I'll use the word trouble. How about that? Stirring the pot of trouble.
Yeah. So you might be wondering, why are we talking about the year ahead spread in the like third week of January? Happy Martin Luther King Day.
Oh, yes.
Anyway, it's a holiday today.
Dr. Martin Luther King.
But you might be wondering, why are we doing this so late in the year? Because it is kind of late to have this as a subject, but we're not on a time. We're only on our own time. So you can pull your cards, you know, you can pull your cards. If you want to do a year ahead spread, if you don't get to it till the end, if you don't get to it till February, you can still do that, because, you know, at that point, what I would do is just look to see what you drew for January and see if you get anything, if you can relate to anything that card represents. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do you get from that card? What happened in January? This is where journaling really becomes important for us, as we're trying to go through this journey of reaching our higher selves, you know.
Reflection is a big part of that.
Yeah, reflection is a huge part of it. Mm-hmm. So hopefully you're keeping a journal. If you're not, I highly encourage you to start doing that. And just, if you can't take the time to sit down and write, which I totally get, because it is time consuming and you do have to like set aside time, just write down the big things that happen, like things that you're going to want to remember later on. Like, I got in a fight with my boyfriend and we said some really bad things to each other and we got through it, but gosh, you know, I don't want to do that again the next time, you know.
So I love that you're saying events, but also write down big feelings. Like, all right, you got in a fight with your boyfriend, but what was the feeling? Did you feel betrayal? Did you feel mistrust? Did you feel maybe I'm not in the right place? You know, what did you have doubts, or did you say, all right, I'm taking more blame than he is, or he's taking more blame than I am, or whatever? But write down the feelings with it too. The events are important, but our feelings tell us how we're experiencing the events, and that's easier to reflect on and can sometimes relate more with the cards because of the elements.
That's true.
So if you get, you know, swords, wands, cups, pentacles, why is that hard for me? Then you can just see what area of your life you might have had those feelings about. You know, if your card is a pentacle and you're having money worries or fear, or you're not able to pay bills, or like a big debt comes up, or a bill, like Kat said, that would be right on line with Pentacles. So it doesn't necessarily have to be that the card represents something, but just the suit can as well. And
So
hopefully everybody knows what the suits mean. I'm sorry. I didn't think about that with some of the newer people, but.
So another caveat is that sometimes you will draw cards. This happened to us when we did our cards
all 3 of us.
A couple weeks ago. We're like, wow. And nobody said anything the night we were doing it. We just were like reading the cards going like, you know, like I remember my first 3 months, I think they were all like, oh, hardship, sorrow, all this stuff. I'm like, what? I mean, is something going to happen? Because I just don't feel like there's anything around me, but who knows? I mean, we're
going to keep those cards, but
yeah, but what you can do, especially if you get cards and you're just like, wow, it's okay to redo your spread if you just really feel like you're not connecting, because it may be that you're not in the, you know, I always feel like when you're reading cards, you really need to get into a space where you're like calm and you're present with your team of light, your spirit guides, the universe to receive messages. So you got to kind of, we always light candles, we burn sage, have crystals. There's a whole little ritual around it. I think, Tracy, meditating would be a great thing to do. Absolutely. Yeah. So you're going to want quiet time. But so anyway, sometimes when you pull your cards, you might just be really confused. Like, these don't make any sense at all. So a couple things you could do. You could redo the spread, but the other thing you could do is pull clarifying cards, which is shuffle your cards again and ask the universe to clarify whatever this card is. If it's January or February, like you don't understand this message at all, and then see what that card says and write that down. So there's 2 ways you can, you know, like Jamie said, the cards are not a predictor. It's not prophecy. It's
not prophecy.
You know,
it's not has to be. We can always change it also. Remember that divination, whatever kind it is, tarot, palmistry, astrology, is really about giving you information and then letting you decide how you move forward with that. You can change your situation every single day. At any moment, you can just change exactly what you're doing. It takes great courage to get up and walk away from things, but you can do it. You have free will. That is what our free will is meant to do, is to gather all this information through divination and then to use it to change it if we don't like what the future says is coming for us. The future's coming for us. That sounded ominous, but you know, if you don't like what the future cards say, do something about it. This is your invitation to change it, to take action.
Yeah. Another thing that sometimes cards they'll have an overall theme, like in the Kim Krans books. They have like a couple of words that describe the card, the feeling of the card. Mm-hmm. But in the Rider-Waite, there's a lot of those cards in particular. If you look at like Biddy Tarot, she's got a book, and depending on what you're reading for, she's got, well, if it's about career, or if it's about love, or it's about this, that, like all these descriptions. So the cards can have different meanings, I guess is the point that I'm trying to make.
From different authors?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there can be a lot of meanings in a card.
Yeah.
Beyond just like
the book that they come with.
Yeah, like the 2 of Cups is
when you're new to tarot,
is love, right? Is a couple.
It's the 2 cards with the 2 cards, the 2 cups with the roses crossing.
Yeah.
But when you can find other resources also, before you want to redo your head spread, you could go on and look for a description of that card elsewhere to see if you kind of feel like, oh yeah. And I guess what we're talking about with the feeling, like Kat's trying to describe her first 3 cards for the pool for this year, as in she can't see any of that going on with her, because she's like, what? Like, I don't have anything leading up to turmoil. Like, I don't have any big decisions. There's nothing like really awful.
My life is pretty boring. Pretty mundane at this point. You know, I'm not raising
knock
kids.
On wood before chaos comes to you. Just kidding.
I can't knock on wood. Kidding. I'll knock this.
No.
But you know, I mean, the kids are grown, and I'm not in a relationship. So a lot of the things that people are dealing with on a day-to-day basis, I'm not. So I just feel like my life is, of course, my dog has been sick this month. So that's something. He's had to go to the vet like a couple of times. Yeah,
you missed our whole little pool party.
I did. I missed the pool party because the dog wasn't feeling well and I was home taking care of him. So, and he's she has dog guilt if she leaves him ever.
Just serious dog guilt. So
He's my little buddy. I love
Yes.
him. Like, he's like my fourth child. He's my midlife. No, he's my senior child.
Senior life child.
So, there's him, but I forgot where I totally lost my train of thought.
Because when you can tell that the cards don't align, or when you see stuff and you're like, this feels totally wrong. And I guess to put it better would be like, say you're single and it's talking about marriage and stuff, and you're like, I'm not even in a relationship. How the hell am I supposed to get married by February? Like, no. So if you see things that just innately feel like, no, that I'm not even on track for something like that, that's when I think that Kat is saying, go to other people who have interpretations of the cards and see what they say, see if that fits better. Because I know with Rider-Waite-Smith, the descriptions can be pretty short. It's like single words. I'm like, what do you reflect on with that? Like, you got one word to compare stuff to. So that's why I've gone to a different artist who drew her cards with different meanings, and I really connect with them. So connecting with your tarot cards is probably another thing. Having cards that you really connect with, that feel like, yes, these inspire me. I want to play with these. I want to pull these often. I like seeing the imagery. I like how the artist describes things. That's probably a good point to point out. A good thing to point out is have cards you connect with, and experiment with different cards. You can do different pulls with different cards if you wanted to. And I know some people who only work with oracle cards. So I don't. I just haven't gotten into that. And they would do your head spreads with oracle cards, which is totally fine. But the way that they think about them is their influences, so what influence will be over them during January, February, March, whatever. And that's what the oracle cards will represent, and that's what they look for. So it's just, they're all divination tools. You just use them however you want to. Yes. I was starting to read comments, sorry. The Lunar New Year.
The Lunar New Year is on the 22nd.
I think you started to say this. One of the reasons why we're bringing up the year ahead spread now is, number one, our year ahead spreads did not connect with us at all. And we're probably going to do new ones or pull clarifying cards for every single card. Mm-hmm. Number two, the Mercury retrograde and the Mars retrograde clashing completely with Capricorn. New Year's felt completely off. If you guys were here last Thursday, we talked about this, where it was like, what the hell happened in New Year's? The energy was weird. Like, I didn't get anything started. I didn't even feel like it was the new year. It was just, everything was off about it. So we're actually kind of starting our new year on the Lunar New Year with the new moon in Aquarius coming up shortly, next week. Yeah. So that was the other reason why we mentioned it, because you don't have to go by the Gregorian calendar, meaning that you start your new year on January 1. You can go by the cycle of the moons and start it with the first new moon of the year. We have 13 of them. You could do it that way. 13 moon cycles. That just means that your year would last into, the technical calendar year of 2024, but who cares? As long as you're keeping track of it in a way that makes sense to you, nobody's coming in to be like, you can't do that. This isn't how we do things.
I wish I could even remember my first card now for January, but because I didn't take a picture of it, because I wrote everything down, so it's at home it's at home in my notebook, which I did not bring tonight. I brought last week and didn't use it, so I didn't bring it tonight. Now I need it. But so I've been pulling cards since that spread and writing. Like I said, I'm trying to write in my journal every day, and it's starting to feel more natural just to sit down for a few minutes and do a recap of what's going on. But I also like to pull a card every day, even though I've done like the card, the year ahead spread. I still kind of want to know what the energy of the day is. So something I've seen over the last week is that I've noticed a pattern. This is what I'm getting to. So you may see a pattern of symbols in the cards. So there's the card itself, but then within whatever deck that you choose, you may see something that keeps reappearing. So pay attention to that. For me, in the past week, I've drawn 3 cards that had a lightning strike in them. And I'm like, that's got to be a message. I just feel like that's got to be a message about something. I haven't figured it out yet, but I'm
divination at work.
Yeah, but I'm going to look into that, because I just noticed I got the 3rd card today. I was like, wait a minute, that's the 3rd time in a week that I pulled a card that has the lightning strike in it. A lightning strike as part of the card.
Was one of them the tower?
No, one of them wasn't the tower. One was the ace. Yeah.
You don't have to remember. I was just, because
I
just talked about the tower.
No, it wasn't the tower. I haven't had the tower this week. I've had the hermit. But that doesn't have lightning in it. But yeah, so I'm like, is that fire? Is there like some strong fire energy going on around it?
Yeah.
Transition.
Rebirth.
What does that mean? What is that like? Because it's interesting to me that I noticed it, and that it's been like every other day I'm getting a card. So look at those symbols. Maybe it means you're going to meet Bob.
Bob. Yeah, remember the Bob conversation? Yes.
I did just take the dive into Tinder, you guys. So
the deep plunge.
Yeah, so I like set up my profile, and
I'm having a ball because I get to see the pictures, the words, the profile stuff, and I'm like, and she says to me over lunch on Sunday or Saturday, whatever day we were out together, she's like, do you see why I've been single? I'm like, I do. I really do. Like, I get it. Nobody's faulting you for being single. Some of these profiles are crazy. They need people helping them. And men just don't take a lot of selfies. And then, so I don't know. I don't know what to do to help the older man generation that they don't have women yet. I don't know. They need to hire somebody or something, but it's funny. And lightning strikes, yes. But I think your point you were going to make is she's going outside of her normal, like, he needs to be this. And she's like, I'm just going to meet people because profiles suck. I was telling her, if somebody had to read a profile on me and then they wouldn't know me at all, because what I'd write about myself, it feels so weird to first talk about myself and then take pictures because I'm not that person. I would probably come off as a hermit with 5 cats or something. That's what people like. I don't want to date her. What does she do?
Well, if I really wrote, I wrote very little.
So you're one of those two that they don't know anything about you?
No, because it's hard to describe yourself. And if I did, I'd be like homebody who Netflix and chills and drinks a lot with my family. And I did put like witchy or something like that. I don't remember, but my description was very brief and that was intentional. I gave you a few tidbits like cool dog. What did I say?
Cool.
Fun kids.
Tank, you got into the chat.
Tank got in because Tank's a big part of my life. Cool kids.
He's the other half.
So that they know that I've got kids that I'm close to, and witchy, which I want, that's something that's going to come up because if they ever come to my house, they're going to see crystals and a whole library of witch books, which could freak somebody out.
The pentagram painted on the front.
Yeah, the pentagram.
House, the triple moon goddess wreath on her door. I mean, there's no getting around it. Yeah. You can't tiptoe around that subject. It's in your face the moment you come to the door.
It is. I put flying my witch flag for sure.
Yep.
So anyway, one of the things I think I remember reading in my description was like energy scattered, you're not getting anything done. So one of the things to do was like make a list. And I realized after we had that reading that there was a lot of little things around my house that needed doing. And I've been avoiding them, because it's like, I don't have a handyman, so I can't hire somebody, or I have to find a handyman to hire somebody. Tank, sit down.
List of excuses right here on why things can't get done. So she had to come to terms with that and say, all right, let me take action, because she's remodeled a house before. It's not like she can't do it herself.
I just don't want to anymore. I don't want to anymore.
That's fine. It's just,
date a handyman, problem solved. I love that, Natasha. Thank you.
Bob the handyman. Here we go. Yes.
Wait, how about Tim the Toolman Taylor?
You can't date another Tim. Sorry, it's off limits. No. You can't date ex people's names.
Bob. That's an ex. Bob, Rick, Tim.
Chuck.
Yeah. Oh. What was I saying?
Sadly, I have a funny Tinder thing, because as soon as their name pops up, I'm like, oh yeah, you can't date another, Richard, blah, 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 whatever. And then she's doing one of the pictures. She's like, oh my God, that looks just like my coworker. No, I'm sorry. I don't care how nice you are. You look too much like my coworker. I wouldn't be able to date you without thinking about him all the time. So super funny. So these are things she's working out as she's gone through her cards to find out what are the months ahead for me? So you reignited by getting on Tinder. She made a to-do list of all the things around her house that annoy her.
I did. Oh yeah, that's where I was going. Like I've been avoiding. Okay, so I've been kind of like in avoidance mode for a little while.
We've had a lot of retrogrades. That's it.
Yeah, because it's like I don't want to think about them. I don't want to deal with them, but they bug me, so they're weighing on me. So after my card reading, something that it said in my first one, which is like, no direction, something like that. It's kind of like, get your shit together, lady. So I was like, all right, I'm going to face what I've been avoiding. So I literally made a list of things to get done in 2023, realizing that I don't have to get them all done today. I'm just going to make this. So I went through and like all the things that like, the sliding glass door needs to be fixed. The screen door needs to be fixed. The bathroom needs to be fixed. Like all these, the sink, just these little things that are like bugging me because I'm in this house only 3.5 years. And it's always like, damn it. I already have to fix
the roof from the hurricane.
I already have to fix stuff. So I made that list and that actually motivated me to make other lists and start getting things done. Like I made an appointment to get my will. I finally made a dentist appointment.
She hasn't got a doctor or dentist since she moved here 3.5 years ago.
3.5 years ago. So. Yeah. So just, it's just things I've been avoiding. Stuff. Yeah. So that's how the January poll or the year ahead helped me because I read that and I knew, I didn't want to face it, but the cards kind of put it in my face. Like you've been avoiding. It said something about making lists. So I did. Yeah. And actually it's starting to work really good for me. It's like, oh, I like this list thing because then I can be like, done.
She sends me the word of whatever was on her checklist with the little emoji that's like a check. She's like, painting with the check mark. I'm like, good job, Mom. Glad she paid somebody to paint the rest of her house.
I did. I paid someone to paint. Yeah, I paid somebody to finish painting my house for me because that every time I turned the corner and saw that the side of the house wasn't painted, I would just be like, what a loser. My neighbors have been looking at that for 2 years, So
I don't even notice it.
So it makes me feel bad about myself because I don't get my
house
shit together,
It's funny.
It just feels, does anybody else feel like that? Like when you avoid getting something done and you're like,
procrastination leads to bad feelings.
It just keeps bugging you. Yeah. So.
Well, my card was the Hierophant, and the Hierophant is basically the teacher. When the student's ready, the teacher appears, which is basically witchcraft and astrology. The general practice of this is you have to be ready to explore things before you can learn them. And then a teacher will appear to teach you the things, but you have to seek it. You can't. It's not just going to like fall in your lap. So the Hierophant card for me, I'm like, well, that's perfect. I teach. We've been doing this meetup thing for a little over 2 years, and I love everything that's going on. I'm building the school, even though I just admitted last week, like it's definitely not going to be done in January, unfortunately. But so I just kind of chalked it up to like, oh, okay, yeah, I already know that I'm doing it. But I've had some really interesting things come up. I have a family member who is really, really ill now. And all of a sudden it's like, it's getting bad. It's like, can't take 10 steps without needing oxygen bad. It's like, oh shit, this is going to go down a lot sooner than we thought. And what I realized is that I'm the spiritual teacher for the family. And so that it's actually not going to be my community that I thought it was. It's going to be more about the family that's going to be involved with, the passing of somebody and then helping them through that. So we also have a really important death day coming up, death anniversary day, that is, you providing guidance and reassurance and spiritual, little nudges. I'm not trying to get anybody to believe what I believe, but I'm offering them beliefs and ideas and things to think about and letting them take them and say, I really like that idea. Like that feels good in my heart. I think that's what I'm going to go with. Like I can imagine that happening. So I think now I'm like, oh, I'm changing. I thought I understood what January might be about, but now it's going to be me applying those skills to my family members instead of, thinking that it was just the school or something that I knew was going on. So that's kind of how mine has flipped recently with the Hierophant card. Tough, really tough. So when you get your cards and they're kind of that prelude to what's going to happen, write down your thoughts and feelings, what you think it might be even. And then as that month comes around, because the other thing we're going to tell you is check in with yourself. I set a actual appointment with myself in my calendar to say, check out your card, look at it at the beginning of the month of each month to remind myself of like, oh, okay, this is supposed to be the theme. Like, where am I going to see that theme play out or what's going to happen? And what I imagine myself doing is experiencing it kind of from far away. And then when it actually happens, I zoom in and I start dealing with it. But I'm like, okay, I sort of already knew this was going to happen. So you can't ever be fully prepared, but you can at least be thinking about it or find resources for what might come up. And then it's not so shocking when everything happens, or it can still be shocking in a good way, I guess, like when you meet somebody, if it says you're going to meet somebody and then all of a sudden you really do, and you have this like spontaneous 2-hour conversation with someone, you're like, wow, I really like them. And the card for that month is something about new beginnings and good friendships. Boom. You're like, yes, tarot told me. Tarot told me it was going to happen. I knew it. So those are other ways. That's just examples from our lives right now, because we're only, a couple weeks into January.
Sometimes you have to think outside the box in terms of like, if you get like a card that talks about love and romance, it may not be a romantic love, especially if you're married. You're like, what? I'm happily married. Yeah,
I'm not having any romance. I better not.
It could be self-love. It could be love somewhere else. So.
Or new experiences with your current love that make you feel that deeper connection even. I just learned to play Yahtzee the other night, and I love my husband. And so he's like well-versed in games and winning. He is really lucky.
And she hates losing.
I hate losing, so I don't play things with people. I am a single sport person because I'm too competitive. I'll get like stupid angry and be like, this game, I don't want to play anymore. Like walk away. I'm probably not that bad, but inside there's definitely like a nudging that's like tip the whole board game over and walk away. Just be like, bam, now nobody can play. So there's an unhealthy competitive side to me that I just don't ever show, so I don't do it. But he really wanted to teach me Yahtzee, and so we ordered it, we got it, we played it on Friday, and he kept winning. And his whole thing was, okay, he read me all the rules, and he's like, okay, honey, it's really hard to get Yahtzee. Like, this is really rare, so don't worry if you don't get it. He's getting Yahtzee all the time, and then he gets 2 in one game, and I'm like, I'm done playing with you. So we're on our 9th game, and I was like, okay, I'll play one more. So the very first freaking time he's rolling, he's like, would be really crazy if I got a Yahtzee, and he gets a Yahtzee. I was like, I'm not playing now. I'm done with this. I'm done. We didn't even finish the 9th game. I was like, no, you're over here like, it's so hard to get Yahtzee, but somehow you have the secret rice rolling thing that gets Yahtzees all the time. So I laugh about it, but I love him. I love having experiences with him and seeing him giggle. And he's a really bad game player. Let me just tell you, when we first started playing and he'd see a hand or a dice roll and I don't know them, he's like, oh, that's shit. And I was like, honey, don't say that. No poker face. I don't know that it's bad. Don't make me feel worse about a bad roll. Like, and he kept trying to apologize, but he was fine. He made my competitive streak of wanting to be angry and walk away worse. So once we got to the 8th or 9th game, he finally realized that he had to zip it and just let me play and try to learn to be better. But that's my experience with deepening the love right there. See, it's like a semi-good experience, but I do love him. And now we have that memory of, Yahtzee, which I'm sure we'll play more, but I'll have to.
I played with them. We went out. Was it Saturday night? We went out. Saturday night we went out, and we went to a place that they have games there, and we played it. I hadn't played in years.
The 3 of us played.
Yeah, I was just like, I don't care, whatever. Just
because he starts doing so well, and I'm like, all right, you're annoying. You're gonna win anyways. Like, what's the point of finishing the rest of the game? But we played. We stayed in there. We hung in there like sports, I guess. Yeah. All right, we went way off.
We did go way off topic. Yes. So let's see. Do we want to recap do we need to recap anything? We need to talk more about tarot. Does anybody have any questions about
doing a year ahead spread?
Doing a year ahead spread, about picking your cards? I can give you a suggestion if you're brand new and you've never bought a deck of cards before. Personally, I would start with the Rider-Waite, but you don't have to, because Rider-Waite's everywhere and they're super easy and there's lots of interpretations for them. And
but that's one of the things that makes them harder, because everybody's got their own interpretation. That's what I find hard about it.
But then you could go,
You
yeah,
can
you
go
could
like
go.
down so many rabbit holes. Every single card is a rabbit hole into somebody else's
I
explanation of
would
it.
go somewhere like to a spiritual shop or something that where they sell different types of cards and just and pick them up and try them. A couple of words of advice from my own experience that I have found out is like I picked up this beautiful deck of cards. It was called like Enchanted Fairies. It was just so pretty. And I did not pay attention to them. And when I got them home, they were so big, they were gigantic. I couldn't shuffle them. So, and I can't do this. I can't do the shuffling like that. My other daughter can. So I never use them. I was so disappointed because they were so big, my hands. So pay attention to the size. And then when you get them home, what I do when I get a brand new deck of cards is I tuck them under my pillow and I sleep with them in my bed for like a week underneath my pillow. Well, maybe the pillow next to me, not my pillow, but they sleep with them in my bed so that they're close to me, so that they're picking up my energy. And I have found that that is how I connect with them. So that's one way that you can connect with your cards. Is there anything special that you do when you buy a new deck of cards?
Oh man. Well, I lay out all the cards in order in a big picture, and I look at them all, and I go through the stories, and I have to make up the story for myself before I look at all the definitions, because I want to feel the cards and watch the progression of the artwork and just see if it makes sense for me, that it won't be hard for me to grasp the concepts. I learned with the Rider-Waite-Smith first, so I get some of the cards, but there's other cards that I never draw. And I'm like, I gotta look that card up. I don't know. I've never gotten it. Like, it just doesn't come up. So when I get my cards, I lay them all out. I take a picture of them. I'll take a picture of like the whole suit together. I'll just to look at the imagery and see what the artist is doing to interpret how you're bringing something to fruition through the entire story of a deck. So it's all just a journey anyways. And if you can see the big picture of them, you're like, got it. Okay, I see where that card fits in the story, in the journey. It won't be hard for me to intuitively read it then.
That's another really good way to learn them too, is to lay them all out and to realize that each one of the suits, and again, that's
wands,
swords, cups, and pentacles. So those are the 4 suits, and then you have the major arcana. The major arcana is easy because it's like definite themes, like the Fool, which is guy going off of a cliff, and so
happy
that's
lucky, not
and then the last one is the World. So you've got the whole world. So that they're easy, but within the suits themselves, if you lay them all out and look at them, you'll see there's a story. So you start at the beginning, and then when you get to the end of that, here you are. You can sort of learn them that way too, or start to learn them.
Yeah,
it takes time. I've been not reading my own cards, pulling my own cards for years, and I still have to read the description
because I love to read the descriptions
because I don't I don't remember them from one time to the next. Usually, some maybe, of course, the Death card, because that is my card as a Scorpio. That's a card of transformation, so I know that card. You might know your own card, whatever your sign is. Your sign.
I don't know Pisces card at all. I have no idea. I've never looked that up.
Oh my gosh, really?
I've
Taurus. I know Taurus is the Empress. So if you're a Taurus, that's the card. So because we have family, we remember it. But I can't believe you don't know your own card.
I don't.
Oh my gosh, who's a Pisces?
There's a list out there, I'm sure, of what cards would go with the different zodiacs, what people say. But for Pisces, you got me. I don't know. I'm trying to think about it. I just learned today that one of the original descriptions of Pisces, it was 2 fish tied together. That's the line in the middle. I was like, what?
Mags, is it the moon for Pisces, or is that for you?
Oh, the moon. That sounds right.
I thought the moon was Cancer. For Cancer.
No, because it's because Cancer would be family. I know why it's the moon. It's because it's the dark recesses that nobody wants to go in, that you can get lost in. That's right. My sign, Pisces, is the ending of everything, you guys, just so you know. I'm the book of Revelations. If there was like a connection with the Bible, I'm like where everything ends and goes to die, and then we're reborn eventually somewhere. So yeah, that makes sense. The moon is like that. Cancer's the Chariot. Yeah.
Okay, so
the Chariot is the champion. Yeah.
Hey, who just
Carla
said
had
that.
a good question.
Yeah, thank you, Natasha, for pointing that out. So
I'm so sorry.
that's okay. She says Carla wants to know. So the monthly. Stop. You went past it.
Oh,
you went past it.
Sorry.
So the monthly card symbolizes the energy of the
see.
month in general? Question mark.
Oh, say that again. So the monthly card symbolizes the energy of the month or a theme. You don't have to necessarily think about it as the energy, but it could be a theme that comes up for you as well. So whatever word makes sense there. Theme, energy, an event. You know, if it just comes down to one event and you're like, oh, okay, well, that happened, I can worry about the next card next month, because it can just be the things, and you'll only know it by reflecting on what's happened. So I'll tell you guys the truth. For me, I look at the card at the beginning of the month, but then I don't go back to it till after the month has passed, and then I reflect on like all the things that have happened. I'm like, how that card play into my month, because I'm still building how my themes work out with the cards. I know my own cycles and how stuff happens for me. Creating tarot that fits with that more, I have to go back and reflect on it. It's not more, I don't see it coming. I just don't see it coming yet. So if you guys can see it coming, please let us know. We'd love to hear about it. when we get on our Zooms pretty soon, where we can all see your beautiful faces and like have real conversations in person, kind of. You guys can tell us your stories when we do tarot and divination and all of that. So that'll be coming up in the Beginner Witch series that starts March
6th.
Yeah, March 6th.
Mm-hmm.
So I did want to bring you guys a book. Okay. After lots of researching, I found the book, the Pictorial Key to the Tarot, written by Arthur Waite. Okay, so this is the guy who actually wrote the tarot descriptions for the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck. Pamela Coleman Smith was the artist who did the pictures with the help of Arthur Waite, kind of getting it all together. And then the reason that they're called the Rider was the publisher. So if you ever wondered how it got its name, Rider's the publisher, Waite's the author, Smith is the illustrator. But this book, which is horribly confusing and very thin and only like $7 on Amazon or wherever you can find it.
That's horribly confusing.
It is really confusing. I've tried to read it, but his English, because it's from the early 1900s.
They spoke differently.
It was just weird the way they said things. Like the way they use some words is not how we speak English today. So just in 100 years, our language has changed quite a bit. But these are his true descriptions for the cards, because when he first published the cards, they didn't come with a little book that described what they were about. You were just supposed to intuitively tell a story about it.
May I?
So 3 years after he published the cards, so many people were like, what does this mean? What do we do with this? What did you want this card to mean? You know, tell us. He wrote this book for that purpose, to try to help people. But he said, in giving people the descriptions, it stops you from creating your own storyline. So I kind of see that, where if you just interpret the cards and see stuff that has meaning for you, you can give it your own meaning. But I think for us today, we're such knowledge hounds, because everything can be so accessible. We're like, no, what's this supposed to mean? And then we make an interpretation. So if you wanted to know like the original description of the tarot, it's not great. It's inexpensive to have it, though, if you wanted to read it and see. And this is what every other tarot reader has sort of built off of, right? So every other person who's created a deck or written a book about it, they all probably would have had this book to start, and doing research into themes and whatever, looking at other ways to present the word and the knowledge of it. Yeah.
So you said your card for January was the Hierophant?
Yeah, the Hierophant. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the description here
in this 1918 something, I don't remember when,
is marriage. She's already married.
I'm married.
Well, but that doesn't mean something's going to happen in your marriage. So
yes,
marriage,
I played Yahtzee, and I'm pissed off that I'm not a good Yahtzee player. That's what happened.
The Hierophant: marriage, alliance, captivity, servitude. By another account, mercy and goodness, inspiration. The man to whom the
Querent, the reader,
has recourse, reversed, society, good understanding, concord, over kindness, weakness.
Do you see how the words are just like boom, 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 lots of words,
yeah,
but it means nothing? Like there's no substance to it.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why I got away from the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck, is because a lot of it is like that, where it just gives you words. In my early days of reading, if you guys don't know, I learned to read when I was 17. I would tell people, I'm going to say words to you, and whichever one connects is what this card is meant for you. because at the time I couldn't feel people's energy as much, or I wasn't bold enough to say it. I would just be like, hey, here's 5 words and this, what this card could mean. You pick the one, you don't have to tell me. And then that's like, go with that through the rest of the reading. So I'm so glad that Kim Kranz came out with an edition, because I love hers way more.
So
Yes.
Ramona,
Should you
wait until you're in a good mood? I think you should wait until you're in the right mood. I don't know if it's the good mood. I think you need to be in a calmer state of mind. So
yeah,
I wouldn't do it when you were upset or angry. So yeah,
rushed.
I mean,
here's times not to do cards. When you're feeling rushed and you're trying to get a very quick message, like, remember that the elevation of our energy is how we connect with the other side, or divination, the universe, whatever it is. We need our elevation of energy to be in that higher realm. That's joy, kindness, gratitude, love. It's all those really good feelings where you're like, oh God, I love life, and like, I'm really doing great and whatever. So that's the mental space that you need to be in to raise your energy to that level, to be like open to receive messages. When you're mad, sad, angry, depressed, etc., tired, rushed, that is all energy that's very low, and it's much harder for spirit to communicate with a much lower energy. They're already so much higher in energy than we are as far as vibration rates. We have to at least come up a bit like an antenna so that we can receive with them. And that's, when we think about energy, that's kind of how I imagine it, is like, we have to raise our antenna by elevating our energy so that they can communicate with us more freely. And it's the ease of just kind of knowing, and they'll send you thoughts, words, and images in your head as you read through stuff, or things will just click and you'll be like, oh, I just realized that. Those epiphany moments, that's all spirit, guardian angels, the universe. That's all them trying to send stuff that'll help you get to your higher path, to get that lesson, to understand the thing, so that you can grow and you can like go up the next step and up the next step, or rung of a ladder, however you see your growth and progression. So yeah, the right mindset, good mood. If it's a good mood for you, yes, be happy. Have a drink. First off, I don't like when people are like, you can't drink when you're reading cards. You can't, drink if you want to meditate. You can do whatever the hell you want to do, but don't be wasted trying to do stuff. Unless you record it and post it to YouTube so we can all laugh with you, because it'll be hilarious. And stuff really can come out when you're drunk, because you're wide open, right? Your receiver's like, I am not in my human brain. I'm not thinking anymore. Everything's just like, whoa. But if you're drunk, like, it's not going to happen. So if you want to sit down with a nice drink and you want to, like, glass of wine, whatever it is, and just start your cards and like get in this mood where you're like, okay. And you can talk to the other side in your head or out loud. You can be like, I'm really ready to receive this message. Like, I'm really looking for guidance on boom, boom, boom. But really feel it, and even imagine them in your head. Let images flow into your mind that are like, what does your team of light look like? Do they look human? Are they celestial looking beings? Are they stars that talk to you? Is it like a center of the universe, kind of like one big eye thing? I think I've seen that before, where it's like the center of all of us and we're aspects of it. So explore that. And then every time you go to do your card readings, reconnect with that energy of like, okay, I know there are people on the other side looking out for me. They want me to have a good life. They want to give me messages to help me find that better path, to help me solve my problems faster and get to that other thing that I'm supposed to be doing. That was a lot at once, I know. I hope that was all understandable, relatable, and clear, because it was a lot.
Okay, so we're coming up on 1 hour. So if we we don't want to keep you guys longer than the designated time that we had, because we know you have a life, and although we'd love to sit here and chit chat with you.
Can't everybody just move to Florida and be happy? We can just do this in person.
But which events? So if you have any questions, now's the time. Otherwise, we are going to probably.
You're welcome, Cindy.
Thanks, Cindy. Glad you were here. Otherwise, we're probably going to wrap this up and let you guys get on with the rest of your evening, and we hope to see you
Thursday.
I meant to look up what we're doing on Thursday. Oh my gosh, sorry you guys, I meant to look it up.
I don't know.
But anyways, we'll be back Thursday at 7:00 here YouTube Live. So if you want to stop by and see us. We really appreciate you.
We forget what we're talking about, but we'll be there.
Thank you.
It's something important.
Thank you for being here, and have a great week, and we'll see you soon.
And if you want to post, we have the community thing. If you want to post about your reading or any questions, remember you can always send us a message on the Meetup app. We respond to all of those. You can put it in the event. However you want to contact us, we're available. So for questions and clarification.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
All right,
Have
you
a
guys.
great week. We'll see you Thursday.
Thank you.
Bye.